taken a serious view of the findings of the first report of the Central Committee on the host broadcasting in the Commonwealth Games. The report has been forwarded to the Cabinet Secretary pending further examination. The budget session of Parliament will start on the 21st of this month. It will begin with the President's address to the joint session of the two houses. The main budget was scheduled to be commenced on the 22nd and the general budget on the 20th of this month. Notifications to this end have been issued by both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha secretariats. Our audit reports that ahead of the session, the leader of the House in the Lok Sabha, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, has convened a meeting of the opposition parties to break the logjam in the Parliament on the 2G issue. The meeting is scheduled for the 8th of this month. The winter session of Parliament could not transact any business due to the standoff between the opposition and the government over the issue. The United States today accused Pakistan of violating the Vienna Convention by detaining one of its diplomats who is currently in police custody for shooting down two persons in Lahore last week. State Department spokesman P.J. Crowley told reporters in Washington that when the person was detained, he identified himself to the police as a diplomat and repeatedly requested immunity under the Vienna Convention and diplomatic relations. Mr. Crowley further said that they have called for his immediate release. Meanwhile, a Pakistani court today barred the government from handing over the detained person to the U.S. The Lahore High Court Chief Justice Ijaz Ahmed Chaudhry issued the order in response to a petition filed by a lawyer, Saeed Zafar, who had asked the court to direct the government not to hand over the American to the U.S. This is All India Radio giving you the news. World oil prices stayed above $100 a barrel in the Asian trade today following fears that the escalating turmoil in Egypt will disrupt supply flows through the Suez Canal. Egypt is not a major oil producer but is home to the vitally important Suez Canal, which carries around 2.4 million barrels of oil a day, roughly equivalent to the daily output of Iraq or Brazil. New York's main contract, light sweet crude for March delivery, was down 22 cents to $91.97 per barrel. The Brent North Sea crude for delivery in March fell 57 cents to $100.44 after touching 101.73 overnight, the highest level since October 2008. South Korea's President Lee Myung-bak has urged North Korea to seize a good chance as the two sides prepare for talks aimed at easing months of tension. Mr. Lee said this in a televised discussion program yesterday. North and South Korea have agreed to hold high-level military dialogue. Seoul has proposed holding preparatory talks on Meanwhile, reports quoting a UN report say that the UN extensively believes North Korea has at least one hidden nuclear fight. This report relies on evidence from the US scientist who visited the site in November last year. Japan's Mount Decay volcano erupted again today. The Japanese Meteorological Agency said the blast is the biggest since it awoke from decades-long slumber last week. The eruption sent a large cloud of ash and smoke hundreds of meters into the air and was so powerful that it blew out windows in buildings about 8 kilometers away. Authorities have extended the restricted area around Mount Decay from 2 kilometers to 3 kilometers in the aftermath of the volcano's first major eruption in 52 years. Air and rail services in the area have been affected, and authorities have advised more than 1,000 residents living near the volcano to evacuate. A federal judge in Florida has declared the U.S. healthcare reform bill passed in 2010 as unconstitutional. In a suit brought by 26 states, Judge Roger Vinson ruled that the requirement that Americans purchase health insurance or face penalties violates an individual's right. The case is likely to end up in the Supreme Court. The U.S. Department of Justice has said that it will appeal against the ruling. Indian tennis ace Somerdev Devarman has eased into the second round of the ATP South African Open. He registered a straight-set win over local hope Raven Klassen in his opening match at Johannesburg. And now to end this bulletin, here are the main points once again. Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh calls for greater coordination between the centre and states to combat left-wing extremism and terrorism in the country. In Egypt, a march of 1 million people organised in Cairo and Alexandria. Army assures that it will not use force against the protesters. World oil prices rise above $100 a barrel on fears of disruption of supply flows through the strategic Suez Canal in view of the turmoil in Egypt. And in tennis, Somdev Devarman enters the second round of the ATP South African Open. And that is the end of this news bulletin.
You're tuned to the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. We now bring you today's commentary entitled Indian Students Radio Collared in US, scripted by Shankar Kumar, a journalist.
Abject humiliation by the US authorities of Indian students from California's fake Tri-Valley University is really shocking.